you for taking time out. I hope we're a blessing to you today. Ask God to speak to us, to touch us, to give us a word. We're going to go to the book of Hebrews, Hebrews chapter 12. I will start with the first verse. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which does so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. This can be simple, but it also can be deep here. But I want to focus in on it. It says, let us lay aside every weight. Let us lay aside every weight and sin which does so easily beset us. It so easily besets us. Let us put it aside. I like how the word weight is used here in the King James Version. And we know what that is. And this is thousands of years old, but I shouldn't say that. The word is thousands of years. The interpretation is more around 500 years old. But that they picked that word weight. They picked it in the interpretation. And what's another way of saying weight is a heaviness. That's a heaviness compared to a lightness. That word light has two meanings, of course. We got light of what brings a brightness, and light, which is less a weight, as compared to a heavy weight. And that weight so easily besets us, so easily sets us off track. I know a few weeks ago we covered about not causing other people to stumble, that we need to be considerate, conscientious of other people's beliefs or thinkings. My beliefs is a strong word there, but that we're sensitive to it. The scripture we went off of, some people eat meat, some people don't, and understanding that. And so many times, what happens is one can get tunnel vised, like they just have tunnel vision. And tunnel vision could be a good thing when you're working on a project that you're focused. But having tunnel vision, that we're not able to see the big picture. In the big picture, meaning a consideration for other people's thinking, where they're at, what they're going through, what they're able to handle, what they're not able to handle. And I'm going to give this analogy, this illustration. I'm going to use karate. I don't know if I've done this before, but if I have, I'm going to do it again here. But in karate, when you begin to study what's called the discipline, that they give you a belt. And when you start, you get a white belt. You start with a white belt. And then as you're going through and you learn different movements and you memorize them, then they give you these like stripes, and you put the stripes on your white belt. And then eventually you test for your yellow belt. And then you keep moving up on the belts. And they have a brown belt, and they have a green belt, and they have a red belt, and most people know what the last one is the black belt. And then you get your black belt, and then you get degrees. So they third degree, fourth degree, fifth degree black belt. And what am I talking about? It's just an illustration that some people are a white belt on understanding the word, understanding application, understanding how to carry themselves. They're a white belt. Someone else might be a yellow belt. Someone else might be a green belt. Somebody else might be a black belt with many degrees of black belt. But to take somebody that's a black belt, fifth degree black belt, talking to somebody that has a white belt and trying to uh, be at the same level, it wouldn't work. And that's in any area. If we're talking math, we're talking computers, we're talking an automobile. Some people have very little knowledge of an automobile. They can drive it or operate it, but not understand even like what revolutions per minute means in the engine. May not understand the temperature gauges. They may not understand it. All they can do is see a red light or a yellow light on there, and then take it in for service, where somebody else can recognize, okay, this is over revving, the transmission's getting hot, we need to shut this down, we need to get it looked at, or they may be capable of looking at it themselves. It's different levels. And understanding that not everybody has the same ability to interpret, to navigate, to discern, and that we have some knowledge, some sensitivity on other people, and realize, okay, this person cannot comprehend this movement, it's beyond them. They haven't reached that point. Now, hear me, we got to look at it with respect and consideration, not with looking at it as a form of judgment. Some people are going to grow fast, some people are going to grow slow. And I could appreciate this when it comes to my ears when somebody says that they feel like their knowledge of the word is not very deep, that they feel like they don't know enough word. And this happens, but this is how I respond to that, and I'm going to give you this right now. You will never exhaust the word. You'll never exhaust it. You'll never complete the study of this word. You'll never get there. You'll never get to the point where it's like, okay, I can close this up. I got it. Never. We'll spend our whole life studying his word, and we never will complete it. I remember early on, and when I gave my life to the Lord, and I dove into just reading the Bible nonstop in my bedroom. I would just read it and read it and study it and read it and read it, and look at different parts of it. I would look for places to learn. There was no YouTube. It was just pretty much books, and then going to hear speakers speak. That was it. And I would take in and take in. Of course, there was cassettes at that time, and I would listen to cassettes of preachings, and I would go to the point where I would listen to a preaching and I would break it down. I would like write down the preaching. I'd write down like the opening scriptures, the introduction, and all the different breakdowns. Not that I was going to repeat it. I just wanted to see how that speaker broke it down. And this is at this time I was 18 years old, and I was just taking it in, taking it in, taking it in, and just reading the word. And I'm sharing that because no way, no how did I feel like I got it. Of course, I felt like there's so much here. And through time and through years and just looking and reading and looking and reading, and all these decades later now, I can't say I finished. When people say, "Oh, I've read the whole Bible," good, like that's just the start. Then you can take one book in the Bible and spend your whole life on it. You could say one chapter in the Bible and break it down and break it down. Studying the book, just the first few chapters in the book of Genesis. I studied in Hebrew right here the first few chapters of of Genesis for over a year with my Hebrew teacher. Every Tuesday we met, and we would just go through just one chapter, one verse, one sentence. And what he would have me do is I would open this right here, this Hebrew Bible right there, and he would have me read it in Hebrew. So I would read Hebrew to my Hebrew teacher, who was fluent in Hebrew, of course. And if you want to talk intimidation, it was intimidating, but we would read it, and then we would break it down and then go through, and all that time and still not finish, just never finish, and breaking down words in there and discussing it. It was beautiful for me. It was a great experience. But what it was is it was degrees. It was multi-level belts of levels. But I understood that it's given me depth and depth and depth to go past just understanding in the beginning. God created the heavens and the earth, but going through it in the Hebrew. But what it was for me, what it did for me, and never feel like I finished, because you don't finish. I will study and read and look into this word until I leave the earth. And I constantly have the Bible playing, and I'm hearing uh, verses and scriptures, or reading or looking, and I could hear a verse hundreds of times, and then all of a sudden it's like there's a click that happens, an epiphany happens. But the different levels to not feel like I can't do this, it's beyond me. So I'm saying this, and this is how I like to liken it. It's like you're eating, and nobody eats the same portion. Nobody eats exactly the same thing all the time as far as each other. There's a variety of foods. There's a variety of flavors. There's a variety of textures. And one person may prefer one thing, another person prefers another thing, and what they're taking in. That's how I liken the word, that we're all taking in individually at our own levels, and they're not going to match. They're going to be different. It doesn't mean we have different doctrines. We can agree, but different levels and different tastes and different flavors. But appreciating other people's tastes and other people's flavors and other people's levels of where they're at, and appreciating it. What do I mean appreciating it? Understanding, okay, that's where they're at. That's what they're getting. Uh, and that's where, when we do advance in our maturity, part of advancing in the maturity is the ability to understand somebody else is coming in at a different place, and what speed they go through it, how fast they learn, how fast they receive, or how slow they do. That isn't something we should even take in to criticize or look down, or whatever it might be. We should just say, okay, that person, maybe they'll spend their whole life on this earth just on certain areas, and that's what they can get and comprehend. And then the other person might be able to dive deep into to deep drilling down, and we should be able to look at the different parts of that. Now, coming to the part of weight, I just shared a lot here on that part, but coming into the weight, what we want to be sensitive to, that we don't put a weight on other people. We don't bring a heaviness on another person, because everybody has a weight they're carrying. The Bible says to bear your own cross, to bear your own cross. So all of us are bearing our own cross. So we have a cross that we bear. I bear a cross and you bear a cross. You carry a cross, I carry a cross. We carry something in our lives that we are carrying through and running this race, and then we run it with patience, whatever we're carrying. What we don't need is somebody else to jump on our shoulders with something that is not beneficial to us, a weight. And also, we don't want to put a weight on somebody else. I pause there intentionally. We don't want to put a weight on somebody else. We don't want to put a heaviness on somebody else, because there is multiple ways that we can put a weight on somebody else. We need to put that we can put a heaviness. I said we need to understand that we can put a heaviness. We can carry a heaviness that, and it's not something we want to do. We don't want to bring in a heaviness. We don't want to carry a heaviness. And you know what that is like. When somebody brings a heaviness, you do know what that's like. That somebody that brings a heaviness or a weight, you know, just when their name comes across on your phone, a text message, it's like, okay, you just know that there's going to be a heaviness with it. It's like, okay, what now? As compared to somebody that brings a lightness, that you just know they're going to bring a lightness. Now, you do have people that I'll call are sneaky or tricky. They send like something nice, but you just know what's going to follow the niceness is a heaviness, which I don't believe in doing that. Now we can exchange pleasantries, but now when somebody fills up a paragraph of flattering, but you just know after the flattering they're going to throw a punch, because then the flattering means nothing other than it's just okay. Here it comes. The flattering just gets you prepared that you just your antennas go up. You're like, okay, here it comes. It's a heaviness. You know what that's like, as compared to somebody that when they text you or call you, you know what that is, a lightness, an easiness. When they walk in a room, it's a lightness, an easiness. I don't know how many times this happens to me when I see someone I haven't seen for long periods of time, uh, that they remember laughter, they remember smiling, and this happens to me quite a bit. If I run into someone at any different times periods of my life, they'll bring up something that we laughed about, and that is very common. I wouldn't call myself a comic, but I do understand humor. But people that have a comedic side to them, they'll remember different things going back years and bringing that up. And I've had this said to me a few times where people say, when they see me, they have good memories. And to me, I I like to hear that, because what that's saying is I bring a lightness, I bring an easiness, as compared to I bring a heaviness. I bring in uh, this black cloud on me, instead of bringing in a lightness, literally and figuratively, the lightness, an easiness, a sensitivity, a consideration, that I am able to understand, okay, I'm carrying my cross. I can't take my weight and expect my grandson to carry my weight. I can't put that on him. I have to understand, okay, I need to be light. I need to be easy. I need to recognize. And I'm always thinking that way all the time. And I do get people that don't understand this part of me, where I don't share everything. I don't share everything. But it's intentional. I don't share everything, because I'm not going to share something with somebody that they're not able to handle it, and it's going to be a weight upon them. That now I put them in a position of a heaviness that they can't carry. Now, that doesn't mean we lie. It doesn't mean we deceive. And if they don't need to know something, some information that is going to make it too heavy for them, then we don't share it. Now, some things we have to share, even if it's gonna be a punch, because it's something that is gonna happen. It's gonna come out that we're gonna have to endure. But some other things are say, well, it's a need to know basis. Should we share this information with this person when they don't need to know it? For what reason do they need to know it? If there's a purpose and a reason for them to know it, then we share it. But if there is no purpose and there's no reason to share it, then we don't share it if it's going to weigh them down. But what that is being wise to understand what we share with other people. Are they able to handle it? And what we hear, can we hear can we take it? Now I'm going to give you what I do. And it's not because I can't handle it. There's a lot of things I don't hear or listen to because I don't want to put it into my brain. I don't want to hear that. Now, I don't, now some things, yes, I can't ignore, but some things I can. And it can literally be in my hearing distance, and I'll just be like, no, I, I don't say no, I just don't engage in it. I don't engage in it. I just keep it moving. I just keep it going. I don't take it in. And I do that quite a bit. I just don't spend any energy on it. And I have to go with a need to know basis. And do I need to hear this? Is it important that I need to hear this? Because if not, I have to keep my mind and my heart free. So I can't take everything in, and at the same time, I can't share everything, and that's part of love. Part of love is you don't put everything on somebody because you weigh them down. Now, I hope you're understanding what I'm saying there, because a lot of people believe love is you tell somebody every single thing and not take into consideration what that might do to that person, what it might do what you told them, what 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 you tell that person, that you might cause that individual, you might cause them to stumble. I'm going to give you an example before we wrap this up. Let's take three people. So there's three people, and let's call A, B, and C. And A knows something about C, but B doesn't know about C. But A knows about it. So A knows about C. So A's able to handle what A knows about C. But then A goes and tells B about C. A tells B about C. But guess what? B can't handle what they heard about C. Can't handle it. So now B is unable to carry themselves because they know something about C. And what they know about them has nothing to do with B, but just the knowledge of what happened with C. What C did, what C action committed, or whatever it is. Now B is preoccupied with the thinking about C. And when they see C, they're not able to look at them. They're not able to treat them the same. And they're not even able to be in the same room with C, maybe, because of what they heard about him. And it could be true or it could be false, or it could be partly true. And this is a common thing that happens. So what A needs to do is to watch out what A tells B. Now, coming to us, we need to think about what we tell other people, and we need to think about what we receive about other people. And here again, here's how I do it in so many things, in big things, as as far as world events or individual relationships. How I do it. I am not going to make my mind up unless I have sufficient information. Just because A told me and I'm B doesn't mean that I have all the information. Doesn't mean I have all the truth. Maybe C has another side to the story. Probably does. I should not make any conclusions without looking at all the information. And there's so many things in this world that you'll hear people make up opinions about, and they don't have all the information. And there's some things, there's no way we have all the information. And somebody could tell you something, but they don't have all the information. They can speculate, but they don't have all the information. Now, God knows all things, and the Lord may share something with you or tell you, but chances are there's only so much the Lord's going to tell you about something. And there could be a big world event and the Lord not tell you about it. And then there could be something really small that we think is small, but the Lord tells us about it. And this has happened in many different areas of my life where the Lord has shared something with me about something. And what he shared to me, I didn't think was that big a deal. But then something else that I thought a big deal, he didn't tell me about it. And I understand. I may think something's a big deal, but in the Lord's eyes, it's like, no, don't even worry about that. But this over here, I want you to look at. That's where we need to be. The Lord's telling you, look over here. I want you to focus on this. I'm going to give you a last one and start wrapping this up. When the children of Israel were in the wilderness, and they were bringing silver and they were bringing gold, and Moses is like, hey, I need you to stop, because he had sufficient. But what he did need them to bring also was their shoes. They needed to bring their shoes, which we think, shoes are no big deal. But see, what the shoes did is they gave them the material to build that, or to make that last covering on the tabernacle, to make it waterproof. It had to be waterproof. But in order to do that, they had to, what they brought out of Egypt was shoes. They brought shoes that were waterproof. That's how they made the last covering. It was easier for them to give silver and gold than it was to give shoes. See, we think silver and gold's the hardest thing to give, but it's not. The hardest thing to give is our shoes. And what's our shoes? Our attitude. Our attitude's the hardest thing to give. It's easier in today's day of time to go on and hit the different platforms to give. In the old way, you write a check or you pull out cash. Some people still do that, but that's silver and gold. That represents silver and gold. It's easier to do that than it is to bring our attitude, to bring our interpretation of things, our preferences. This is how I want it. This is how I think. And that's shoes. We're talking about shoes. But what we have to do is step back and say, okay, what is God asking from me? Well, I've given everything to him. Did we give everything? Because sometimes people will profess that they gave everything, but they're holding something back. And what can be held back is our attitude. Our attitude is held back. And you know what that looks like. You know what it looks like when we have an attitude, when we have an axe to grind, when we have our preference and we want our preference like a child. And the Lord wants that. He wants that. See, we're thinking, well, I give silver and gold, and that's the hardest thing to give. But I'm going to hold on to the axe I have to grind. I'm going to hold on to my attitude. I'm going to hold on to my stomping of my feet. I'm going to hold on to me slamming doors. I'm going to hold on to me getting upset. See, the Lord wants us to let go of that weight. That weight he wants us to let go. Let go of the weight. And at the same time, don't put weight on other people. Don't tell somebody something they can't handle. Use wisdom. And don't receive something that you know that you can't take. Say, okay, Father God, give me wisdom. Receive. Give me wisdom to give what I need to give and not give something that is going to hurt somebody. That we lay aside the weight that so easily besets us, but we run with patience this race. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday morning. Thank you for being a blessing in the silver and the gold. If you would like to give that part, you could text 77977 New Creation AZ, New Creation AZ 77977. We will be back here in person at 12 o'clock at noon, 1363 South Vineyard in Mesa. Thank you for joining us. I hope you were blessed today and that your Sunday is also blessed.